Okay, we're
Okay.
recording.
I'm new at this, so bear with me.
So
How do I
Sherry
get
took
to
a class. I'll just introduce you, right? She took a class on Instagram mastery by somebody, Profit.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to do this. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you just click on the share button at the bottom, share screen button.
Yeah.
Oh, if you're on your phone, are you on your phone or tablet?
I'm on my phone.
Oh, that ain't gonna work.
All right, can I do this, Greg? PM me. I sent you a private message at PM.
Yeah.
PM me your email address. I'll hop off real quick. I'll send you the file if you could share it.
Okay, you could also just send it over Messenger. Just drop it into Messenger.
No, we can look at it there.
No.
I don't think it let me do that. I can't attach a file in Messenger.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, guys. I'm a noob.
Okay, there's my email.
Okay. All right, I'm going to hop off. I'll be right back.
Okay. So while we do that, how was everybody's week?
Good. Except for having no power for about 31 hours.
I can imagine that. I told Tom, like, all my wires are underground, so I haven't lost power in like 20 years or more. I mean, except when the, construction guys cut it on purpose.
All right, Greg, I sent it to you. There's two files. I didn't know which would work better for you. There's a PowerPoint and a PDF. They're the same file. It's just one is in case what version of PowerPoint you have. So.
All right. So I'll do the PDF. No, the PowerPoint.
Yeah, either or, it doesn't matter. So this is just a summary. It was just a mastering Instagram class. A lot of you may actually already know a lot of this information, but I'm just going to pretend that you don't know it, and we'll just go with that.
Sounds good.
Yep. So it was a mastering Instagram class from popular to profitable. And basically, it was pre-recorded to look like it was live. But she basically went over, and I can't, she's German. I can't think of her name right now. She basically went over.
Can you see my screen there?
Yes.
Yep, I do. Yep.
Okay.
So she basically went over how to grow your Instagram and different methods. And she says you're probably most popular with the follow unfollow, which we talk about all the time, which actually is the easiest. This takes more work, but I tested it this week. And by doing everything that I'm going to tell you in this thing, I actually increased my followers by 30 people this week, just by doing what she said. And I even had Lisa, who is Hungry Girl, if everybody knows who that is, write me because I followed one of these things that I did and I tagged her in my story and she actually wrote me. That's great. It's how you get noticed by people. So I'm going to continue to do follow and follow. I'm going to continue to do these methods. And I'm actually getting some quality followers now and less of the weirdos. So I can't complain too much. So basically, she went over, you could have any of these problems in your Instagram. You can have a small audience like I do. I have still less than 300, but I'm close to 300 now. Your engagement lacks. People just don't interact with your posts. You don't know how to get noticed, which is a lot of new coach problems, which is why I took this class. And you're scared to be salesy because it's a hard conversation to have with someone when you're going from, hey, I love the picture of your family to, so do you work out? It's really hard to make that transition. So she talked a little bit about all of these things. So go to the next slide.
Yep. Hold on.
Yep.
Okay.
So thank you. So, you want success. So you need to be able to make your profile attractive and make it impactful so that way people want to interact with you. And you need to be able to drive more traffic to your profile. And by doing certain things, it kind of goes on autopilot so you don't have to spend so much time every day. Now, I know that some of you guys, like Greg has said, oh, well, it's, or on these charts, like I actually filled out my paperwork this week. It says you should take 3 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 15 minutes there. But as a new coach, this takes me like 3 hours to do. So the idea is if you make your Instagram more attractive, people come to you and you have to do less work. And as a new coach, that's really helpful. So there's upfront work to save time later. Go to the next slide. So, and this we've learned also in all of our Beachbody trainings, that you have to be an influencer. So, you know, you want to teach, inspire, and connect. So you want to be able to, you know, get people to, first of all, they have to trust you. So they must know, like, and trust you, which we talked about a bunch of times, which is why stories are good, because you can tell them a little bit about your basic day. I mean, nobody really cares about grocery shopping, right? We all do that. But maybe like my husband and I built this deck. I could have done a story, which I think I did pictures, about improving my house. Or, you know, something about my cat, something relatable, people that I want to follow me, things that could relate to them. So think about who your audience is and the kinds of stories they might want to see. And that's what you need to start doing. So that way people follow you with your hashtags. And then, you know, you want to inspire them. You know, if you're posting, and you shouldn't post workouts in stories every single day, do it all the time is what don't do it all the time, she said, but you want to kind of mix up your life. You know, who are you? You want to be relatable. You want to be healthy. You want to teach people about health and fitness without being salesy. And then you need to be able to connect with those people, which we already know, and we know this from our business activity tracker, that when someone likes your story, your post, or they viewed your story, reach out to them and message them and thank them and have a conversation, and don't get right into fitness right away, which we also know. So she said, you know, the typical is to follow, unfollow 100 to 160 people per day, or to buy leads, which sure, you can still do that. I'm still doing that, but I'm not buying leads, but you can still do all of that, but there's another way. Next slide. So she said, who are your dream accounts? Think about the people that you want to engage with. You, it could be people that you want them to buy a challenge pack. It could be you want to interact with people who, I'm going to use myself as an example because I don't have kids, but you know, you want people who enjoy cats and fitness, or have children and like fitness, or eat healthy, or maybe they're following a ketogenic diet. So think, or maybe it's business accounts. You know, maybe you want Lisa from Hungry Girl or the equivalent to follow you or to be interested in you. So think about who you want those groups to be. And then I used an example that we can relate to because we've all done this. Find people you would normally follow, like Tony Horton. Look at his followers. Instead of just, still do this, but instead of just liking or following people, go to some of those followers. Because when you get to the tertiary level, you're less likely to find other coaches. You're going to start finding people who are following those coaches who might have a great Instagram, who haven't signed up with anybody. And those are the people that you can go after. So this is just another method, and that's what I've been doing this week. So pick out a few of his followers and interact with them. Don't just follow them. Start liking or commenting on some of their posts. Look at their stories. Interact with their stories. Make them follow you first, because then it's less solicitation and they're coming to you, which opens that door because they're interested in you. So she said, an action item was to make a list of 10 dream accounts weekly and follow the above steps, and make sure that you turn on the post notifications for that person. So say his name is Joe Green, I don't know, and you really like his Instagram and he's a tertiary level person. Turn on alerts to his posts, and when Joe posts something about his workout or his food or his family, you'll get an alert and be one of the first people to be able to like or comment. That will make you noticeable, because once there's 10 or 12 or 15 comments, you get lost. You go to the next slide. So step 2 is you also want to be an influence. So you want to be authentic. So if you don't get a lot of likes on your posts, don't let that deter you and say, oh, I can't do this, which is something I'm very typical for doing. It just means you need to find subjects that interest people. So for example, I posted my grandnephew a few times. Every time I've posted that baby, I have 25 likes like that. But when I post my cat, I get like 12 to 19. And if I post a workout, I get 5 to 10. So I'm realizing people just like babies. I particularly don't like babies, but if that's what they like, I'll post nephew pictures every now and then. That's fine. If it gets people to like my page, I'll post his pictures all day long. But it's more about the comments you get than the likes you get, because it's easy for people to scroll through and hit that heart or double tap, but you want people to interact. So when you make a post, say my grandnephew, I might start asking a question about my viewers' kids. Again, not that I really care, but if it gets them to interact with me, then that's how you build the trust and the authenticity. So tell more stories. Don't just take a post and say, here's my cat, or here's my workout, and hashtag it all over the place. Tell a story, which is, for those of you who follow me, the other day, I did a, let me tell you a story, and it was about my cats. But on Facebook, I had like 39 comments and likes which I don't have a big Facebook following, they're all friends, but to me that was huge because people want to read stories. And I had comments like, I love your stories. I love your stories about how you rescue cats. I love your stories about your health journey. So it worked. And I did that the same day I took this class. Let me tell you a story. And it just blew up. So I'm really excited about that. So think about the things you can do to make an authentic connection with people. Again, once you find your dream accounts and you see the kinds of things they're posting about, how do you make an authentic connection with those people? So when you comment on their posts, be authentic, say things that will draw them to you, but make sure your page has things that would attract them to want to follow you. To the next slide. So I kind of touched on this about being engaged. So if you're truly engaged and having conversations with people in comments, that shows your true influence. People want to follow people that can light a fire under their butts. So the more that, also it's an algorithm thing, that the more you have interaction and conversations with people, the higher up on the post notifications that you become. So whether it's Facebook or Instagram, which are owned by the same group, the same person, if you have your page is public on Instagram and you have people that are commenting back and forth with you, your post will be seen publicly higher up in the hierarchy than other people who don't do it right. You go to the next one. So one of the things, and you don't have to go back to the slide, but one of the last things I say, which leads to this, is ask a question at the end of comments. So if you really like someone's family photo, you might want to ask them a question about where they were, not where they were, but what was their favorite activity on this camping trip, or something like that. Just ask a question, make them have a conversation with you, because when you make a statement, the conversation ends right there. But when you ask a question, people notoriously want to share their opinions. It's just the way it works. So you definitely want to ask a question, and if they don't answer you, you're just not asking the right question. So the next time, keep testing it. Eventually, they'll answer you. So this is something that I did. So how to get dream accounts to notice you. So Hungry Girl is one of my favorites. I follow her recipes. I love Lisa. So I tested this theory. It didn't work with Megan Davies, but it worked with her. I posted a recipe, a screenshot of one of her recipes, and I tagged her, and I'm like, this looks amazing. Check out, at Hungry Girl. And it opens a DM immediately with whoever that person is. So now they get a notification that they have a chat from you. And sometimes they answer you, and that's how you get noticed. So if you do it consistently and this dream account starts noticing that you're doing this, they're going to start to notice you, and they're going to start to pay attention. And maybe they'll follow you because now you've become like their ambassador. So when you start doing that with regular people, they feel that they're influencing you. They're going to follow you to see the kinds of things that you're saying that they may not see in stories on your page. And that's how you start attracting. And then, how we go to Tony Horton and we follow his followers, people are going to start doing that to that person. They're going to go to that person's followers and who they're following, and they're going to start going down the list and following you. So, but building this trust and building these relationships takes time. And as much as a lot of new coaches like myself thought that, oh, this is going to happen super fast because you guys are all successful, it doesn't happen that fast. So take a step back, take your time, be consistent, keep doing all of these things, and eventually it will start to grow. So you go to the next slide if there is one. Okay, so this last slide. So if you find your competition or influencers in your world, you will find your dream account. So that's where the making that list of 10 is. And it doesn't always have to be people who work out. It could be people who are doing, I'm following people who do Weight Watchers and having conversations with them. I'm following people who like to go hiking. By going through this process, it's opened my window of people that I want to follow and people that are now following me back. And that's how I'm starting to grow my Instagram and how I'm getting noticed. So it works. And I only did it a little bit this week and I was able to grow. So I'm hoping some of this content can help you guys or help your customers or any new coaches that are on, not new customers, but new coaches you sign on, and see what happens. So yeah, so this week I have 4 new customers. I have 4 customers, 2 are new this week.
Awesome.
And
So
that's
how
that.
did you, what activities in particular did you do to get those people to follow you or those 4 new customers?
Well, the first 2 customers I had, I actually had kind of right away. 2 of them are friends. Those 2 are friends. And they saw one saw my bevy story. So I've been starting to do videos, which, I normally don't like to do, but I've kind of gotten over it. She saw my bevy story and she was like, what is that you were drinking? I need that. And so I did a share a cart with her and she bought it. And she's the one who's going to be buying the challenge pack this week. So I broke down the pricing for her and she's super excited. So that'll be my first challenge pack ever. But the things that I did on Instagram, so I went to, I went to Tony, I did this with Tony Horton, which is the example. I went to Tony Horton's page. I went to his followers. And then I saw a few people that I felt I liked their picture, or I went to their page and I liked some of what they were posting. And then I checked out their followers and I started to interact with a couple. And that's how I started to grow my Instagram by 30 just this week. The third customer I got, I know from Canada. We've just been following each other for a really long time. And she switched coaches this week to me. And in the same day, she referred a friend who switched her coach to me. Hi, Davey. And she switched her coach to me. So I have 2 Canadian customers, one of which I don't know at all. And it was just because I posted my group. She's been following me on Instagram for years. She knows I'm consistent. She struggles. And she was like, you know what? My coach does absolutely nothing. And you're always so on point. If you talk about your life, you talk about injuries, you find ways to work around them. You don't make excuses to not work out. I used to. And then Kevin can tell you that. And then she's like, I just think you're a great person. And I think you're a great coach and I think you'll be awesome. And you're not pushy. So I want to send people to you. So I'm excited. So this 4th person had her account on Do Not Contact. So I spoke to the person who referred her and I told her the situation. I was like, listen, I said, I wanted to send her a welcome email. You can tell her that I'm not going to try. She's been around since 2015. I'm not going to to throw product down her throat. But I want to be able to reach out to her, introduce myself, get to know her, see what her goals are, invite her to the bod group. And when we do have product that I think would be good, I just want to tell her about it. If she doesn't buy it, I don't care. I just want to be able to be a person who can be informative. I let her make her own decisions. So her friend is in the process of changing her. She's like, I didn't even know I had it set up like that. I bought a DVD in 2015 and I didn't even realize. So she's
there was like a little, I think they've improved it, but there was like a little checkbox. Do you want to receive, notifications from Beachbody? And maybe
now it's multiple.
Your coach or whatever, right? But yeah, they would just opt out of everything and they wouldn't even know that it meant a coach can contact them.
So now I'm having I have 4 conversations or 5 conversations going on with people that I've been doing this method with this week. One person was very nice. We got to the point of my talking. He's like, "Oh, what do you do?" Thanks for opening that door, buddy. So I said, I'm a health and fitness coach. This is what I do. I didn't even say Beachbody, left it alone. And I said, listen, I have a health and fitness group. It's free to join. I would love to have you because you love hiking and you have a baby. I think you'd be very relatable to people. I'd love to have you join. And he was very nice and declined. But he was like, listen, I'm following you and I really like your stories. So I hope we can stay friends on Instagram. And I was like, absolutely. And I'm here to support you when you change your mind. So that door is not closed. It's just ajar. So I'm learning by everything I learned this week between our group, between Mark Hildebrand's group and this Instagram training. I'm just doing what I'm learning and it actually is starting to work. So my stubbornness needed to be shut so it could work.
Well, that's good. And like, I think one of the key things you said is, you're not going to stop doing like follows and unfollows, for example, but you're going to add in doing, additional things that you've learned. And that's what you got to do. It's like so many times people listen to like this national coach call and then they'll listen to this one and they'll like, oh, well, I need to switch what I'm doing and do it this way. And then next week, oh, I got to switch again and do it this way. It's not about that, right? It's about maybe adding something into what you're doing in addition to what you're doing and see what works for you, If
right. Well,
new thing blows up and then you don't need to do the other thing anymore, great, but don't
exactly.
stop.
But what works for me, right. And it's also about comfort zone. When I don't have a lot of time and I just was like, oh man, I couldn't sit down and do all of my stuff today. I'll do a follow, unfollow while I'm watching a show with my husband on the couch because I don't have to do a lot of research, right? But if I have a little bit more time and I can sit down and do these things, then I do these things. So it's all about finding that balance. And I look at it like this. It's kind of like following a nutrition plan, right? A lot of people say after 1 month or 2 weeks or even 2 months, this doesn't work for me. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And they switch how they're eating and they're exercising, what they're doing, and their body's not ever getting to I'm burning fat routine, right? They're switching so much that it becomes a failure. You got to give everything some time and try different things, but give it time in between to see if it's working or not. Don't just make a switch because something isn't working today. So that's why I'm going to still do my follow and follow. I'm going to add on to this with this new method, new to me, and anything else I learn, I followed, is his name Joe Cox? He was on the National Wake Up Call a few weeks ago.
Yeah, right.
I'm following him, and when he makes recommendations, I am willing to try those too. So it's all about adding on and like you said, seeing what works. And so something becomes like, wow, this did it, then that's great. But I would never abandon any of the other methods in the future because things were always dynamic and how people view things is different and the algorithms on social media changes. So you have to be willing to change with it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing. And
thanks for having me.
Tom, were you like swatting the cat there?
He's swatting me. As I'm moving my hands on the computer, he's like, I'm trying to defend myself.
Well, the last
Being
minute
attacked.
or two, Tom's like fighting with somebody off screen. I didn't know if it was like his son or, wife. It's hard to say. So yeah, good information, and it kind of segues into the other topic that I wanted us to talk about today, and that's like ways of expanding your warm market. And I know we probably all have different ways that work for us, and by us sharing different ways, it may like turn on a light bulb in some of you, right? Something that you haven't tried yet. And maybe things like I've done it, over the past 10 years, I've done many, many, many different things. And it doesn't mean that they don't work. It just means that, I've kind of stopped doing some things or started doing other things or whatever, like Sherry was talking about. kind of evolved, but doesn't mean that those things still don't work. So one thing that I'll kick off that I used to, I'll throw out there that I used to do all the time, and I used to preach, to you guys, like Tom, when you were around, and Kevin, in the beginning, was free groups, right? And those coaches still do them. I just don't do them anymore. But what they are, I mean, I still have my Beachbody free group that I can invite people to, but I used to do like, and I think Tom still does, like a low fat, carb, low carb challenge, right? Or a clean eating, 7-day clean eating, or some coaches, I've even tried like a 30-day sit-up challenge or push-up challenge or things like that, right? That you could just start a Facebook group and you advertise that, and you'll be surprised at, like how many people will opt into that. Say if I were to offer a 7-day clean eating challenge, and I'm going to give away a $20 Amazon gift card at the end to the winner or whatever. Just think how many people, on your Facebook page might be interested in that. They may not like sign up for a Beachbody program or respond to any of those posts, but if you say I'm doing a 7-day challenge or whatever, right? A water drinking challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And basically you just need to come up with a post a day, make it fun, for 7 days, throw them in a Facebook group. I wouldn't even worry about creating a bod group for that. You could, but it's just easier if you're advertising on Facebook to throw them into Facebook. So that's just one way. The challenge that I found, and that you'll find, Tom, I'm sure you found, right? It's converting them into Beachbody after the 7 days, right? So I mean those are great for building the trust and building the relationship, and but then it's getting them to take the next step, right, into doing a bod or something like that. And what I've always done is like I would try to go live in the group and talk about my my BOD group, right, my support, my Beachbody group, right, and try to get people to come over to the dark side and try a Beachbody program. But I mean there are coaches that do it very, very successfully, right? So I'm not saying it is still a great way to expand your warm market and to get people interested in fitness or dieting or Beachbody eventually, right? So that's one suggestion. Tom, you got a suggestion?
Yeah, I mean, I still run groups. I actually been thinking about doing more on Facebook again with those groups, because back then, I mean, I guess I kind of jumped in with the low carb thing, and that was like really hard to convert, as Greg said. I mean, especially if people, I mean, somebody's no carb, I mean, they're like no carb and into keto, and you get these people that are really, fanatics about it. So it's really hard, especially, to try to talk them into trying Shakeology. But now I was thinking with, we have so many free sample workouts and stuff where you can, run a group, and then, maybe it's a longer, slower process. And I still do it because I had a lot of people that I have a low carb group that's over 1,000 people in now. And I don't even do low carb, So I was thinking maybe doing something like that, but, again, it takes time, because even those people that I didn't convert, I mean, I still have relationships with, and I have people that maybe I was on there with a year ago that, that ultimately did sign up, or with, throughout that process. Like, it didn't take a year, but I built relationships, and they still, are watching your other posts and your regular activity. And people, low carb, how long? I mean, it's very, very unrealistic that you're going to be doing keto forever. I mean, some people do, I guess, but, eventually you got to eat, right? So, I still have some conversion from it. It's just a slower,
eventually.
Yeah, it's just a slower, longer process. But but maybe not a low carb. But I've been trying to think about different types of groups. Maybe fitness for insomniacs, because maybe somebody else is up at 4 o'clock in the morning with me.
You're right, Tom. I mean, that is something that you probably don't talk about very much, and I'm sure a lot of people relate to that. And if you probably started doing #insomnia. or sleep disorder or whatever, you probably would get a following with that.
Well, it's, what made me think about it, fun, because I'll mention like, oh, I was up all night, I didn't sleep again, and have my Energize, more of an Energizer plug, and I've gotten so many people that really just jump on and saying, "Have you tried this? Have you tried that?" And I've gotten a lot of engagement about it, and it's just genuine conversation. I mean, it's a real. Cause I always complain that I don't like to say I complain, but I always say I don't really have like my hobby. Besides I got my family and the normal stuff. I don't have like a niche or hobbies. It's always been working out. So everybody says find your niche, and everything's not health and fitness, but that's been my thing for, since I was a teenager. I've been into this. So, I talk about that the most because, I work in home and that's it. I mean, I'm boring otherwise, but yeah, I'm an insomniac. People seem to get, so maybe,
Yeah,
but I did get a lot of conversations going. So anyway, it's funny because you brought it up. I was just thinking about doing something like, similar.
and we also, I'll dig up we have a Google Drive that we created years ago, and it was like a collaboration of other, coaches in the network, but it has a lot of free group documents in it, right? Where they plan out the 7-day post for the clean eating, for the water, for, recipes, for all these different ideas. And literally there are hundreds of documents in there, and you could just pick one, pick a different one every month that you wanted to try, and it gives you all the posts and pictures and everything, and you really don't have to come up with anything. So it's something that's available, and I'll find it and post it in our chat group.
And you can schedule the posts, so you can, you want to get in there and interact, but you can schedule it so, even if you don't, get people that are going to just jump right in, again, you're building up it's on Instagram followers, but you're building up connections on Facebook, which I still get results from Facebook, so I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys aren't, especially new coaches, Frank and Bill and James and stuff, tap into that warm market, right? Your warm market is your Facebook market, right? Those are the people that know you personally, that already know, like, and trust you, right? Those are going to be the ones that if you reach out to them and say, hey, I'm, sincerely, I've started, Beachbody coaching, and I'm working on losing weight, and I'm just wondering if you would be interested in doing it with me. Those would be the people that would most likely want to follow you, right? So, one thing that Carl talked about even on this, the national wake up call that I just listened to is, do a memory jogger, right? It's like, he mentioned like, who are your, best friends in high school at your college that you went, college with, right? Reach out to them, say, hey, would you be interested in, hey, working out and, virtually with me, right? And joining my group, things like that, right? So, I mean, you could also do, obviously he's like, write down a list of, 100 people that or whatever, right? Your plumbers and your dentists and stuff like that. I probably wouldn't talk to my plumber about it, but it's just an idea, right? Of
I did.
how you can, right, Tom does, he talks to all of his maintenance people about it, right? But it's another idea that you can do to expand your warm market, right? Also, like expanding on Facebook, something that we used to preach is you can join, like if you have interest, like Sherry is cats, right? You can join Facebook groups that there are like infinite number of cat groups, right? So you can join those groups, and those have lots of people in them, and you can start, generally commenting on cat pictures or whatever, right? That you're interested in, obviously, being genuine and building relationships that way. And when you build relationships or get people to comment on your post, it's natural that you send them a friend request, and they'll probably send you a accepted or whatever, right, on Facebook. And then they're going to start seeing your posts on Facebook, right, in your stories, right? So that is a great way to expand your market. I mean, it's like new coaches say, oh, I ran out of my warm market, and now what do I do, right? Well, your warm market should never run out, because you should be, it's like a funnel. You're constantly making new connections, right? Whether through Instagram, through all the topics that we've already talked about today, I mean, all the suggestions, or through Facebook or through other forms of networking. Does anybody still do the groups or
On
what were you
Facebook?
gonna say?
I've been asked to. I haven't done it because usually when I've done a lot of Facebook groups because I was a coach years ago and didn't have the mindset that I'm having now. And I had a few groups, and people, like, when I worked at Brother, I had like 20 people from my office join the group because they were like, yeah, we always see you post and you're so good about working out and you've lost weight and blah, blah, blah. Crickets. Nobody, they would see my comments, they'd like them, they would never post. No, none. I was literally talking to a wall. So after a while, I was like, I'm done doing these because no one's talking. And I would do contests and things like that, and I would just get no interaction.
Is that in your free group or in like groups?
It was a free group on Facebook. It was like I made a page, and it was private, so people didn't have to worry about any pictures or posts being shared to their own page. And I explained that to them because it was like kind of early on, and people thought, oh, if I post them, I'm going to feed to my friends. And I would make sure it was very private so they would be secure to do whatever they wanted. And yeah, nothing. Crickets.
Yeah, and that's one of the disadvantages, right? That can certainly happen. Tom, are you going to say something else?
Yeah, when you mentioned joining other groups, and I joined like a different low carb group, like just to kind of get ideas and just to meet people there. And so from there I joined like a do-it-yourself like home improvement group because I do a lot of work on my a lot of work and a couple different groups, and like another fitness group. And I was like pretty active in those groups, and in all three of them, I mean, I joined more than three, but in those three groups, both admins asked me to become either a moderator or an administrator of those groups. So what I started doing was, and this is how I really grew my other groups, was every time someone joined, because these groups had thousands of people, so it attracts more people on Facebook. So every time somebody joined, and I would grant them access to the group, give them permissions, whatever you call it, just accept them to the group, I would shoot them a message saying, welcome to the group. I mean, it was like, I was like a broken record before I had the shortcuts. I was like, dude, welcome to the group, welcome to the group. And start up a conversation, and then ultimately we invite them to my group. And that's really how I grew mine, and I grew a lot of followers on Facebook. So joining groups, I mean, not to say, I mean, I don't know if it was just some, kind of a oddball thing that 3 different groups, they invited me to join. But I guess if everybody's silent and you got somebody who's really active, they're happy to have that and want you to participate more. And I think just as people are coming in and you make an initial connection, and everybody be like, wow, I joined so many groups and no one ever, did that. So I just made a lot of friends and connections that way. So, and I think everything adds up, man. Compound effect. It's just all these. I try to approach every different angle, and it may not happen right away, but once you get them following you or watching you, they're still watching whether or not you're talking to them or not.
Yeah, the group, like, people could search for groups, right? So like the title matters, right? So a low carb or whatever, and like Erin's talking about in the Business Builders chat, right? So she's starting these groups using the Beachbody program names, which I used to get in trouble for that all the time with compliance, but as long as she can get away with it, more power to her. Like if you name a group The Work, right, or MBF, and especially if you can get Megan Davis to join it, right, you're going to get thousands of people that are searching and they see that and they're going to join, right? But it doesn't have to be Beachbody. Like if you're passionate about whatever, right? I'm going to use the cats again, right?
Sorry, guys.
You can have, purple cats or whatever, right? And you're probably going to get a lot of people that are interested in purple and cats, like Sherry, that are going to search for that group and find it, and they're going to want to join, right? But if you do it about something that's health and fitness, like Tom's Low Carb, right, then it kind of makes the bridge easier to get them into Beachbody, right? So it's like the further you are away from fitness, the longer it's going to take, right? So.
Right, but we shouldn't. I'm going to add to that you definitely shouldn't exclude it. I've been saying, well, people who like sewing because I like to sew, and people who like cats, they're generally, I also live in Monroe Township, New Jersey, where the median age is 80. So that's kind of the people that I tend to find. But there are people who are my age and younger who are in those kinds of groups. So yeah, you're right. It does take longer, but it should never be excluded, because that one quality person who's going to want to be on your team for fitness, that's huge. So yeah, I mod a different group. It's kind of an off-color group because, you know, I have a mouth on me. But I'm a moderator for that group. So
We didn't know that about you, Sherry.
So yeah, that group, I'm surprised Facebook hasn't banned it because it's out there. But anyway, I mod that group. So I accept hundreds of people every week. I should probably just message and be like, hey, welcome to the group, you know. You want to effing join mine? No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't say that. But
just create a shortcut. Create a keyboard shortcut, and every time it's telling you.
That's a great idea. That is a great idea. I'm
So
actually using my computer more for these things too, because it's just easier. I mean, I'm out on my porch, I'm using my phone, but yeah, so I mod that group, and you know, there are some fitness enthusiasts in that group. I check out everybody's profile, so you know, they're all out there, and you never know where you're going to find them.
Yeah, definitely. Something else that you can do to expand your warm network is live in person. And this is something that you won't hear many Beachbody coaches talking about, but it's still a viable way of doing it, right? And I can tell you, because of my text marketing business that I started last year, that I have been doing a lot of in-person networking. Well, it used to be in person, now it's on Zoom because of COVID, but it used to be like, there's all these in-person groups that meet, right? There's women groups, and then there's, you know, men and women groups and stuff like that that you can join locally. And if you go there, I guarantee you, you're going to see a lot of Mary Kay and Arbonne and Isogenics and all these other people. You're not going to see any Beachbody people, you know? So it was great for me because I was going networking to build my texting business. But at the same time, when you do what they call one-on-ones with people, where you sit down and you have a one-on-one conversation to learn more about them and they learn more about you, they ask, well, what did you do? How did you start? And I always tell them that I started, you know, after I got out of corporate as a entrepreneur because I became a Beachbody coach, right? And they're all like, oh, yeah, I did P90X. And then I invite them into my group, you know? So, I mean, you know, so through in-person networking, I've added many people into my support group, you know? My Beachbody bod group. So, you know, so I mean, that is a viable way of expanding your market, right? And you can also do it through social media, right? So let's say, like, you know, I think Sherry or us were talking about, like, you can follow your followers, right? Well, you can do that on Facebook. Like, follow your sister's friend, or send friend requests to your sister's friends or your brother's friends or your best friend's friends, right? Because they're going to see that you have that person in common, and you know, they're going to probably accept your friend request, and then you can strike up real conversations with them, like, how do you know so and so, right? Well, he's my brother, right? So I thought, you know, we could connect or whatever, you know.
Nice.
So other suggestions. And the whole point of this, guys, is not to try to sell them anything, right? When they start following you or friending you or whatever, it's like, you never want to, you know, try to push a product on them, try to sell them anything. I mean, at the very most, you want to maybe invite them into your, like, if you had a free group going, right? A clean eating group, right? Invite them into that. Or, you know, you could, if you find out they are working out or they have done Beachbody, invite them into your bod group. But the goal is just to get them following you, watching your posts, start seeing your stories, right? Because that's where you're going to be talking about, you know, doing your invitations, right? Of talking about the MBF program or your new challenge groups that's starting, right? And that's going to be to everyone. So it's going to be a non-pushy, non-salesy way, but yet they're connecting with you and they're following you and they're seeing your posts now. So that's what you want, right?
And as a new coach, one thing I was getting discouraged because I saw there's some new coaches, which is amazing for the new coaches. In a week they're Emerald or they're SC5 or they're this or that, and it's like, wait a second, what am I doing wrong? Why am I failing? And Tom will be happy. I started finally listening to Go and Anya yourself, and learning a ton, which has helped change my mindset. I'm like, where was this book like 10 years ago? But I think a lot of new coaches need to understand one big thing. Everyone's timeline for success and or failure is going to be different. On the National Wake Up Call where Greg, I was asking about, it sounded like she said she was Emerald in the first couple of years, but she really didn't get going until it was just a weird conversation. But she did nothing really the first 4 years, and then it just kind of clicked with her and she became successful. Everybody needs to realize that, and I have a tank top that even says, a winner is a loser who tried one more time. So it's about, listen, we're getting discounts by being coaches, right? So we at least can reap the benefits of that while we're growing our business, and everyone's timeline is going to be different. And I think a lot of coaches get discouraged because they just see all the success and they're like, I want that now. But you got to work at it. It is a job. We're paid to do a job. It's not like sit back and put your feet up and now I can spend all this time with my family. It's, you got to work it and clean toilets with your toothbrush for a while before you can get somebody else to do it for you. So it just takes time. And if you don't have the skills, like I'm learning them now, of how to transition and guide conversation, it's going to take a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean I should quit because it's taking me too long. It just means that it's there and I haven't tapped it yet. And now that I'm starting to see changes and I'm realizing how I'm driving conversations and what's happening and word of mouth, it's going to start paying off. And now that I have 4 people under me, I'm like, well, I definitely can't quit now because I don't want to disappoint them. And I want them to tell their friends and their friends and their friends.
Definitely.
So I think new coaches need to understand that. And that I didn't get that years ago when I signed up to be a coach at all. I also had a horrible upline, so I'm happy now. Just saying. Little brown nosing there, sorry.
Talking about you, Kevin. Is he disappointed?
Talking about all of you guys. You're all on the same team, and I am not used to having anybody. Kevin's great. If it wasn't for him, man, I probably would have quit working out altogether a couple of years ago. But he stays on me, and when I was being negative Nelly, he lit a fire under my butt and was going to throw me into a group of people he wasn't, people that don't really care that much. And I was like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, that was, sorry I had to threaten to throw you out, but anyway.
Tough love, man, but it worked. And that's the kind of
you really wanted to stay in. So I was like, well, maybe this isn't really the group for you then right now, and you can always come back later. But yeah, no, you got your attitude turned around and you really started kicking ass, and you found what works for you. And a lot of it was Weight Watchers for the nutrition, and I don't know why it worked better than UPF, but who cares, right? Whatever, as long as it's working for you, then your attitude changed around. And yeah, anyway.
Hi.
Everybody's saying hi, Daniel.
So, but yeah, you know what? But Kevin, and that's the thing, like, yes, I'm following, Weight Watchers Nutrition or WW right now. I'm right now comparing it to containers because I want to be the product of the product, right? So I realized what I was doing wrong with containers before, and I'm actually starting to transition back to containers because I knew it worked. I was doing it wrong. But having done WW and understanding why I was doing it wrong, I think has opened my eyes and matured me to understand nutrition a little bit better. So my plan is to get the Beachbody nutrition certification in those programs, because that was also going to be a huge selling factor or support factor with customers, because they're going to be talking to someone who's not just some Joe Schmo, or they feel that some Joe Schmo is somebody who actually has gone through some sort of training that says, here, let me guide you through TB, or let me guide you through the Ultimate Portion Fix, and let me tell you my experiences by doing keto and Weight Watchers and all these other things.
Yeah, I mentioned Sherry that Samara on our team, who's in our business builders group, right? That she was a Weight Watcher instructor, right, in the past, and she has a lot of previous clients who are no longer Weight Watchers, or maybe some who still are, but she got certified in 2B Mindset, right? That's really her program. And now, she has a lot of people who do Weight Watchers, right, are older, and they don't, or they could be really overweight, right? They don't exercise, right? So she just runs her 2B Mindset like a Weight Watcher meeting, right? So, and they invite guests, and she does Zoom calls every week and gives them that accountability. And I don't know if they do weigh-ins like in the Weight Watchers or whatever, but that's how she has built herself to diamond, and her team. It's mainly through 2B Mindset. So, it doesn't have to be, fitness, or it doesn't have to be based on Beachbody programs or something like that. So think of other ways that you can build your business. I have a diamond coach. I tell this story all the time. I had a diamond coach. It was a Black lady, and I didn't really have a lot in common with her, and I didn't really expect much out of her, but literally she went diamond in a month because she knew how to host home parties, right? And that's something that we don't talk about really as Beachbody coaches, right? I think, she did something, Mary Kay or something in the past, so that was natural to her. So she did a home party with Shakeology and the coaching opportunity. And she signed up like 8 coaches or 12 coaches, just boom, like that, one night, right? Went diamond, like first month, right?
Wow.
And so that's another way of expanding your warm market, right? So, well,
I was gonna send with you saying that. I was just gonna say, you always say find your tribe and the people who are like you or whatever. I end up inspiring or attracting people who are nothing like me. It seems like I get a lot of gay people and a lot of I got some Black people and like whatever. And I mean, it's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they're great. They're awesome. They're in the group. They're doing great. It's just they see me on Instagram or whatever, and for whatever reason something resonates. I'm 48, and the one guy, he's in his 30s, and the other girl, she's in her 40s or whatever. But I mean, it's just, I wouldn't think normally, but yeah, it works. And they're in my group, and they bought challenge packs, and it's awesome. And I mean, they're posting every day, and they're motivational, and and so I mean, it's like you never kind of know who you're inspiring or why, but sometimes it's not really the person you think you're looking for. But who cares, right? I mean, like, as long as they're kicking ass with it, and they're helping motivate other people and everything, it's just like, it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're really awesome in the group. I mean, it's like Kevin's group just blew up out of nowhere. And it's pretty cool actually, because there's, people that have been following him on Instagram for years are finally like, hey, I'm ready. And he and I just spoke about this yesterday. Like, all of a sudden it was just like, they're just, okay, we're ready to go. And it's just not giving up, and people see that, and then they learn to trust you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you never kind of know exactly who you're reaching. I mean, there's somebody in India, she can't obviously do Beachbody, but she's been watching me, and she lost 33 pounds within the last year just following me on Instagram. So I mean, you could be inspiring people that are never going to be able to do anything for you, but it's still good.
Right, because our job is to inspire other people and do something for them. So in that situation, and then who knows, maybe she has some American friends and she'd be like, hey, you should follow this guy, and then they could become a customer. You never know.
Yep, it's all good. Anyway,
enjoy your breakfast.
Yeah, I ate while I was talking to you guys. I got to feed everybody else now.
Yeah, share it with us. So
Kodiak protein pancakes are awesome, by the way. If anybody hasn't tried them, Kodiak protein pancakes.
Oh yeah, they're good.
Post the recipe,
really
Kev.
What is it?
Post the recipe.
Kodiak protein pancakes.
Oh yeah.
You just add water. It's so easy. I used to make them by scratch, but it's like so much easier, and you get extra protein. And anyway, the macros are way better.
Awesome. Kodiak, huh? I'll check them out.
Yeah, actually, Sean T advertises them a lot because he'll make his shake with Kodiak pancakes. He'll throw them in there to give that pancake type of taste, and he posts that a lot on his stories.
I've done the banana pancake one that I think Alana posts or has a recipe for 2B. That one's not bad.
My husband won't eat bananas.
It's just a mix. You just it's powder and you add water,
Peanut
and
butter.
it ends up.
There's
It
peanut
has
butter?
they have peanut butter and they have chocolate chip. It has 14 grams of protein in one serving, which is I couldn't get that when I made them from scratch. I was like, oh, I'm clean eating and I'm making from scratch and I'm using my own flour and whatever. And I had way more fat in mine and I had way less protein. Anyway, I love these and they're super easy and the
And
kids
those
like
are
them too.
and those are WW friendly too, so I get to advertise that to my WW friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Do they still have like flour and stuff in them? So they're still they're still high carb?
well, I mean, I don't know if it's high carb. Like I've got
Good amount of
28
carbs.
grams of carbohydrates in a serving. I have 14 grams of protein. So I mean, it's more carbs and it's not like carb free. It's not super low carb.
Gotcha.
But I count calories and macros with my fitness pal, and for me, it works out at the end of the day. I have a hard time
It's a
getting enough
red and a
protein in the
yellow.
day.
Okay.
It's a red and a yellow.
Sure, you'll know.
Yeah, I've memorized those containers. They're like ingrained in my brain.
It's all whole grain. They're good. They got them at Costco too. I think I got mine at Costco or BJ's.
yeah.
One of
The
them.
plain ones are at Costco, yeah.
Walmart. I've never seen the plain ones. Walmart has these chocolate chip and peanut butter ones, but the calories aren't any worse. I was buying this other Krusteaz brand. It was like regular flavor pancakes, like just like pancake. These ones actually taste better for the kids, and it's good.
Cool.
Anyway.
All right. Well, let's wrap up. Let me just say that one other thing is if you're building your network, right, and you got people that are following you, but all you're doing is sharing your workout or whatever, it's not going to do you any good, right? I see that all the time. It's like people are posting their workout and their sweaty selfies to their crowd, but that's it. And then they wonder why don't I have anybody joining my group? Why don't I have any customers? Why can't I sell a challenge pack? And it's because they're not doing the invitation, right? So the purpose of everything that we've talked about today is to do the invitations, right? Whether you're having the conversations with people and inviting them into your group, or whether you're posting a story and doing an invitation, inviting people, or whether you're posting a post and inviting people. You have to have something to invite people to, and you got to do it every single week. So don't think, oh, I did an invitation like 3 months ago. No, every single week. You got to be like, what can you invite people to? You can invite them to a free bod group that you've started. You can invite people. I saw Arcady did a great, P90X infomercial story, right? Where you're inviting people to do P90X with you, right? So that's perfect, right? You can invite people with the coaching opportunity, right? So, do a coach opportunity post. Talk about what coaching's done for you, right? Or a little bit of money that you made with it this week, right? That's an invitation. So remember to do that every single week, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't think that if people don't jump, because people aren't going to actually jump and reach out to you all the time either. So you got to still reach out to them. And if you're not seeing, like, it feels like you're getting no results, but I'll have people that ultimately I'll talk to, and they'll say, yeah, I've been watching your post, or I saw this post you did on coaching. Can you tell me more about it? So people are still looking, and they may be afraid to reach out to you. So just don't feel like if you're not getting 1,000 likes, or people aren't actually commenting when you're saying comment or message me. It still could be working. You're just not aware of it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think the key, I think you'll agree with this, Tom, right? It's like, if I just relied on people to initiate to me, I would be like nowhere. I'd have no customers, right? It's like, even though I do a post or do a story, if anybody ever messages me or comments that says that they're interested, I like fall out of my chair. So, it's us initiating to them, right? So maybe to people who just liked, or maybe people who watched your story, right? Reaching out to them and starting a conversation. Say, hey, thanks for liking my post, or thanks for hearting my story, or voting on my poll, or whatever, right? Have you ever considered doing a Beachbody workout? That type of thing is what has gotten me the results, right? Or thanks for the follow. Have you ever done a Beachbody program? That's 99% of what, has made me successful.
Definitely.
So
How do you guys feel about So in the back office, there's a whole list, there's a document of free workouts, and they're all hyperlinked. Have you tried and had success with, have you ever done a Beachbody workout, or here's a free, workout, here's a list
All
to
the
try,
time. All the time.
and do people actually do them and like them and then sign up? Like, what's your experience?
Well, either they never try it, or I mean, you get a lot of people that just never even try it, but you got to follow up. If you don't follow up, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, I get a lot of them who never try it. I'm like, here's a free workout you could try. And they'll be like, oh, I wish I could work out at home. Well, here, try this one, and see what you think. And then they never do it. So I don't know. But like you said, if you
I've
follow
gotten
up
good
a few more
results,
times.
but it's always following up.
Yeah, I do it every time a new program comes out. So like, the MBF, right? Who's interested in a free workout? Message me. And I get a bunch of people that message me, and I send it to them, and I follow up. And sometimes it works out. Sometimes like Tom and Kevin said, they never do it, right? So.
Right.
Well,
Well,
you can even
there's like somebody in our
take that
group.
as a step to invite them to your group, even. You know what I mean? You just give them a free workout, and then just say, oh, by the way, I also have a free support group run, or whatever, however you do your inviting. I've gotten a lot of people where that, I open up with the, here's a free sample workout, or I post, want to try the free sample workout, and then you make the connection and invite them to your group.
Right. I was also thinking, because there's somebody in our group who does an incentivization thing, like if you buy a challenge pack, she gives you this, this, and this. I was thinking for people who say that they don't have, equipment at home, if they sign up for a challenge pack, I'll go on Amazon and I'll order them a set of 5 and 8 pound dumbbells and ship it to them. If they're in it, for me, it's inexpensive, and it sets them up getting going on some light equipment. So if they're brand new to working out, maybe that could be an incentive for them to want to sign up, because they don't have to go out and buy anything. I'm going to ship it to them.
Yeah.
So it's a thing I'm thinking about to seeing, because I know they're really inexpensive, and it was because the person who's going to buy the challenge pack this week, she doesn't have any equipment, so I'm going to surprise her with it, and I'm going to see how that goes, because I said to her, listen, I have a set of containers. If you're not ready for a challenge pack and you just want to do Beachbody on demand, I'll send you a set of containers. $10 value for free. And then she's like, no, I want to do a challenge pack. She goes, it's a great value. Why wouldn't I? I mean, especially when I broke down the prices, she goes, why would I spend all this when I can spend that and get everything?
Exactly.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I'll send her, as a surprise, I'm going to send her a set of weights, because she doesn't have anything.
Resistance bands might be easier, lighter to ship.
Yep.
Well, that too, but it's Amazon. I have Prime, so I don't have to worry about it.
Good. Good. All right, guys. I will see you next week. All right.
Sure thing.
Thanks, everybody. Good seeing you.
Thanks. Good job,
Thanks
Sherry.
for joining our call.
Thanks, Kev. All right. Thank you.